Okay. This meeting will now commence at 6:05 p.m. The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call?
I think Danny is also not here just yet.
I think Hannah is supposed to be doing roll call in this case. Is Hannah here?
Looks like she's having internet issues.
Okay. Mm, in that case, would anybody else like to do roll call?
I mean, I'm fine with doing roll call.
Um,
Oh, sorry, Matthew, did you want to go?
I mean, if you're volunteering,
Dude,
but
no, all you.
okay. I'm gonna butcher the names again. Great. All right. So we'll start with the advisors. Oh wait, no. We'll start with the executive board. So is student trustee Jocelyn Bravo present? Student trustee Bravo. Okay. President Kumar.
Here.
Vice President Ahmed.
Present.
Treasurer Nita Manuri.
Present.
Chief of Staff Omen. Chief of Staff Omen. Okay. Chairwoman Hamad.
Present.
Chairwoman Eladawe.
Present.
Thank you. Chairwoman Nadala.
She is not present.
Okay. Chairwoman Uda Tuk.
Uday took, and I'm present.
Okay, thank you. Chairwoman Zhao.
Present.
Thank you. Speaker Stancheva.
Present.
Secretary Guerrero.
She is not present.
Okay. All right. Representative Petaneo.
Here.
Representative Oyafeso. Representative Oyafeso. Okay. Representative Ruiz.
He is not present.
Okay, thank you. Representative Neji.
Here.
Thank you. Representative Aranda Ortez.
It's Ortiz, and I'm present. Thank you.
Ortiz. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Representative
Good.
Taylor.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Abdel Salam.
Here.
Thank you. Representative Silvarich.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Bai. Representative Bai. Okay. Representative Fernandez.
Present.
Representative Villagomez.
Present.
Representative Hodge.
Present.
Representative Nigel.
Eastwin and present.
Sorry, thank you. Representative Suresh.
Present.
Hey, so Representative Bai is here, present. Representative Phil, Representative Villa Gaminani. Representative Phil Philosegan Philoseganami. I know. Okay. Representative Khan,
Present.
Representative Malik,
Present.
Representative O'Brien,
Present.
Representative Henry,
Present.
Representative Chrisman.
Present.
So that concludes roll call.
Okay, thank you. So I was actually taking notes on who's present, and there were a few names that I didn't hear. So I'm gonna have to go back and ask you guys if you're here one more time, if that's okay. Is Representative Bimbola Oyefeso present? Representative Oyefeso? Okay. All right. There is also Representative Kayla Taylor.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Is Representative Hack present?
Yes.
Thank you. Is Representative Mi Nguyen present? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So just to confirm, the people that were not present are Sampriti Velvasigamani and Abimbola Oyefeso. Okay, all right, that concludes roll call. Thank you so much for your patience. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. So please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then we can, or if not, the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda, so please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? If not, the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, it doesn't seem like it. The next order of business is guest speakers, and there are no guest speakers at today's meeting. The next order of business is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor?
I have nothing to report this week.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you. Okay, the next order of business is officer reports. May we please have the report of the president?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing okay. So like last week, I had a meeting with some folks at like SEOC, which is like this emergency operations unit, which is like talking about moving the classes online for the remainder of the semester, with the significantly increased amount of COVID positivity in the city. And then one thing that we're doing later this week, specifically with regards to like racial equity and like the push for like the demands of Black students on this campus that I haven't listed here, is we're hosting a day of action on the 19th. That's also the same day as our town hall. So if anybody's interested, there's like an email campaign that we're coordinating with the GEO, as well as like the BGSA and BSU. So that's like also part of this report, but I just left that out. because it happened earlier today. We're also like continuing to disseminate our letter of support for the ethnic studies general education requirement. We're at like about 400 signatures, and we'd appreciate it if everybody here could sign on as well, since we did technically pass that as a body. And we've been getting endorsement letters from like various groups on campus, but also from like local elected officials. And we just got one from Alderman Sigcho Lopez, as well as like the Asian American Caucus of the Illinois General Assembly. And we're still waiting to hear back from some other people, and of course, looking to reach out to more as well. And then I also met with some folks at the Gen Ed Council to talk a little bit further about Gen Ed changes, because I know there are also some other questions about other areas of change, and I want to make sure that I can give you all those resources too. And then with regards to like academics and like our campaign for credit no credit, we like the Senate had voted in favor of credit no credit in like our latest proposal, and then over the weekend they sent a letter to Provost Poser. And I also like emailed her as well, and like I invited her to join the space, but I don't think she was able to make it tonight. But we will for sure be hearing more about this on the town hall this Thursday. So if you have time and you're available, please do attend. It's going to be at 6 p.m. from 6 to 7:30. And we're looking at like a large range of topics, everything from like racial equity on campus to policing to credit no credit to tuition reduction to COVID-19 safety in the future semesters. And I'm hoping to be able to kind of get like an even amount of time for each of the important topics. But this is like a super important way to really kind of get closure on this and to push forward on this. And then we also like have this other meeting like with the 5 student councils and the chancellor on the 23rd. So I added that as an item for discussion. If there were any specific questions that anybody from this body had, I have already got some questions noted down from previous meetings, and I want to make sure that I just get everyone's questions here done. And then we had our event last Wednesday, the Know Your Rights training with Chicago Case and Aaron, and the WLRC and Campus Advocacy Network, and it was super awesome. And it was a really like meaningful event. And I just wanted to thank everyone who was there, who helped organize, who spoke, and who attended. Yeah, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, the president's report will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday, as happy as it can be. But to start off, the biggest update that I have for this week is that Jocelyn and I both were at the student fee committee meeting. And that's basically the group meets every time that they adjust the student fees. And there's like discussion about it and whatnot. It's been a little bit different because of COVID, because they kind of just made some like executive decisions to like change things or not change things without much discussion. But this was so that they could inform us of what was going on. And the most like notable part of that to me was the discussion that we had about like the health service fee. And so there was a resolution passed by the USG body a couple of semesters ago, and that was to raise the health services fee by exactly $10 for all the students. And that would apply for the fiscal year of 2022. And essentially that money is then earmarked specifically for being used to hire counselors at the counseling center. And so when that passed originally, they were basically like, this doesn't come before the fee committee for like a little while longer. And so this is a semester that it does. And I do believe that they're attempting to pass it. And I think that there is buy-in from the administration in that way, but I don't think it's like 100% set in stone yet. But that was one of the proposed suggestions. And the two main things that came out of that discussion were, one, there's a search committee led by Joseph Hermes, who is the director of the counseling center, to hire the new staff members. And according to Dean Deanna, it's like a diverse committee that's looking into hiring a diverse staff. My question was then, us being so involved in these initiatives, I personally have not heard about the search committee, and I think that kind of speaks to the fact that there wasn't a very transparent push for student involvement or student opinions. So I would like to address that, and then also just anything that we can do to kind of make it clear what we feel like isn't being reflected in the staff at the counseling center, because Dean Deanna verbatim said it was a fallacy that students think there's no diversity at the counseling center. But obviously, like, if our concern is that our identities aren't being represented, then that is a viable concern. So that is something to be addressed going forward. And then the other point of note is that the chancellor did earmark funds for 2 additional counselors to be added for this upcoming semester, so for the spring semester. So that same search committee is also in charge of hiring those 2 as well. And so that was the major updates from that meeting. I also reached out to Dr. Ajalor on West Campus, who has done mental health focus groups before, and I'm set to talk to him sometime this week. And then the other questions that I had were that there has been a mental health task force that has been led by like Vice Chancellor Tolliver. I believe Dean Deanna has been on them too. And they have like a series of reports of suggestions that they have for better mental health efforts. But my goal right now is to kind of work through those and look at what has been implemented and what could still take some work. If anyone else is like interested in looking at that, let me know. And then some of the same like ongoing projects from previous weeks. And then other projects that I have been working on is writing that resolution for adding kind of like a bonfire USG relationship, kind of finalizing the details of that with bonfire. And then also to be able to kind of have a statement or like a letter of memorial for Tushar. And yeah, that is about it. Any questions?
Yeah, just like a super quick note that I wanted to add on, because like we were talking about like the search committee for like new counselors and like diversity on that search committee. One of the things that we had talked about, and this was also like in like the latest letter that we had endorsed on racial equity, specifically some of the stuff that had been discussed by like student organizers was including some sort of like cultural diversity training or some sort of like cultural like awareness training as like part of the like the repertoire that all of the counselors have at UIC. I don't know if that already exists or if that's something that would just be something to like note alongside that. So I'd just like love some like insight on that if you might be able to ask them.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions? If not, the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasurer.
Hey everyone, so just a few updates. The Treasury Committee will be having a meeting this week with the UIC Library and the Commuter Center. So they both reached out and stated that they're interested in having a collaboration with USG. So any reps or executive board members that want to join the discussion with the library, the Commuter Center, and want to, throw around some ideas about what we could be purchased, please shoot me an email and we'll get you invited to those meetings. I'm also going to start sending out emails to all the officers for their stipend RFF information. And I've laid it out here that this is the information that I'll require, which is the name, address, and the city, state, zip, phone, UIN, and email. This is the same information that's required when you get anything reimbursed. And just some updates on Daisy and Matthew's reimbursements. Daisy's has been sent to the DOS, fully signed, and Matthew's is almost finished being signed. Just need the advisor signatures. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, if there are no questions, the report of the treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the speaker. So, for my report, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm really glad that some of you came to the social. That was really fun. It was awesome and just very, very entertaining to watch everybody yell at themselves and yell at everybody else when playing Among Us. So, that was pretty cool. Thank you for making that happen. Big shout out to Matthew for making it happen. It turned out great, and I'm really happy with it. Second, I sent out a survey to ask about your experience in USG. Um, okay, let's see. So I just sent the link in the chat. So if you haven't submitted it yet, please make sure to do that. The feedback is very helpful to us, and we would really, really appreciate it. Um, okay, please do that by tonight if you haven't already. And for the feedback that we get, I will make sure to share that with the executive board, maybe over the week or at some point before the end of the semester. Um, so you guys know that we sent the boxes for the USG social. Well, there is a little bit of an issue because I got charged more money for it. So the issue came from the fact that we didn't have like a scale to measure the weight. So we just said it was like 15 ounces, but it turns out that it was a lot more than that. It was like way over a pound. Some packages were like a pound and 5 ounces. Some of them were a pound and 8 ounces. So obviously a lot more. So I did get charged more money by the USPS for those packages. So I'm proposing a resolution today, and hopefully I can get reimbursed for that. Let's see. For the end of the year party, I found a small business on Etsy that has really cute cookie jars and like bread jars and stuff. And I thought it might be a good idea to purchase from there, but I did want to test it out first before I, you know, put that onto you guys. And I still am waiting to receive it. I got it. I bought it like last Monday, so it's been about a week. And some of the pros for that jar is that they have cool jar options. So they have like different types of jars. They have like Santa jar. They have like a few other, and you can personalize it. So you can say I don't want that ingredient, or I do want that ingredient, so on and so forth. It is also handmade for you. It has priority shipping. It has free shipping over $35, and it offers support to a small business. The cons, on the other hand, are that it costs about $9 per jar, and individual shipping is $8. But if we were to do bulk shipping, there would be no cost for shipping, I don't think. Um, and the other issue for me personally was that I ordered it last Monday, and it still hasn't arrived. So it's been about a week. And for priority shipping, it is a little bit slow. And that's just for my order. I don't know how much slower it would be if they had some 30 orders. So we're gonna have to see about that. But we can. This is scheduled for items for discussion, so we're gonna talk more about it during items for discussion. Um, Additionally, I just wanted to remind the executive board to please complete their tasks in a timely manner, because other e-board members rely on your work in order to be able to do their work. So, for example, when Aitana uploads the meeting recording, Daniela uses it along with everyone's reports to write the minutes. And when Daniela writes the minutes, I use them to make the meeting packet. So if that if one of those things gets slowed down, then my meeting packet also gets slowed down, and so on and so forth. And that's not just for me. That also applies to a lot of other executive board members in USG. So just remember that our work depends on other people's work, and please make sure to complete your tasks on time. And lastly, the end of the semester is near. I actually think we only have one more meeting, if I'm correct. Um, And make sure you're taking care of yourself and your mental health because it is tough and it will probably get a little more tough as we get closer to the semester. And also feel free to reach out if you need any assistance or support. That concludes my report, and I yield for questions. Okay, if there are no questions, then the speaker's report will be filed. And next we have the report of the, uh, I'm sorry, hold on. Have the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair. Is Bayan present?
Oh yeah, I'm here. 1 second. Okay. So okay, wait, hold up. I opened the wrong document. I'm sorry.
Oh, Ben, I also have it up. I can scroll for you. That would help.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So for the Know Your Rights series, because we haven't had any like response from John Marshall Law School or anything like professors, so we're postponing the series because we want to start off with the police and protesting. But today we just had a meeting with, or like I just had a meeting with Amira from Graduate Student Council. There was a student uh, from the law school. There was two other members from GSC, and there was the National Lawyers Guild, Maddie, at the meeting. So we like set a plan to just work on it. Our next meeting is going to be after Thanksgiving break, and we're like looking for more ideas for Know Your Rights. So now we have police and protesting, and then we have um, jobs during COVID. So I posted like a poll today for Instagram, so we'll have some ideas. If you have any ideas, also like just message me like on Zoom or something, like right here. And so we facilitated the event Create Change for the African American Culture Center. That went very well. Of course, special thanks to Dahlia, Watson, and Kayla, right? I keep saying it wrong. I'm like, is it Kyla or Kayla?
Kayla, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So thank you for facilitating. Thank you for being there. The event like wasn't like there wasn't that many students at the event, but I think it did make an impact. Like because okay, I'll tell you why later. But I think it was a good event. And then we facilitated the Know Your Rights, the Title IX regulations that wasn't mentioned earlier, and that was with the Campus Advocacy Network, and with Aaron as well, and Christina, who was like the main facilitator of the event. She made the PowerPoint. She told us about the regulations. So I reached out to her to send me the PowerPoint. I think it'll be helpful to like post it on our website and all. And thank you everyone who attended. So we also facilitated me, Aitana, and Matthew. We facilitated the candid conversation that Timothy put together, and I think that was really like we had a lot of people sign up, but we didn't have a lot of people show up to it. But I think it was really helpful for the people who showed up, and definitely like in the future, we're looking into organizing something like. And so why I think it was helpful because okay, sorry. So why I think the event with the African American Culture Center was helpful because someone, I think it was Mark at the Candid Conversation, mentioned that with the virtual programming, you can't really measure like the success of an event by how many people show up. It's more about like, did you actually help those students who showed up? And I think it was helpful for the student who showed up for the town hall and the create change. Now for Know Your Rights, it was well attended. I think like 20 people came. So that is all. And we're working on a resolution. So I'm having a meeting with SGP sometime this week, probably tomorrow. Um, I'm also, I don't know why I didn't include that in my report about the Arab American Culture Center. But anyway, so the Arab American Culture Center wants to collaborate with us, and they want us to help them with their campaign to include MENA category. That's Middle Eastern and North African descent, I think, and to include it like in the race category. But they need like some support. They need me to draft a resolution to have USG support. They need support from U of I, Champaign. They've been like in contact with them. And yeah, so that's happening. They're also working on an archive project. They want to collect like information about Arab student involvement at UIC. So they want me to like let them know how involved Arabs are or like have been in USG. And I think that's it. So I'm having the meeting with the Arab Center tomorrow to draft a resolution. And there's another resolution to join the Women's Leadership and Resource Center for to join their org network group. So you know how we've been trying to create the group me for the student leaders on campus. So Timothy did create it, and I think just mentioning the group me at those meetings with the Women's Leadership Center would also be helpful, because they're like collecting all the organizations and like putting them all together into like one big networking group. So yeah, and I think that's it for my report. I yield for questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee Chair.
Hey y'all, good evening. I hope everyone's had a pretty good last week and are going into a pretty good week. Pretty chill, hopefully, before Thanksgiving break, though I know that is sometimes too much to ask for. So in this week, I really focused on work with the Mental Health Coalition. We're working on putting out the survey for student interest and just feelings on campus. I'm currently working on putting that on a Qualtrics survey rather than a Google Forms survey. And then we also, me and Hannah had a one-on-one discussion on focus group questions and how we should go about doing that. And I guess over winter break, just because this is a project that is going to be continuing throughout winter break. I met with Nikki of SLCE. We talked about follow-up events and discussions based on the elections. And we thought it was best for us to have those discussions in the very beginning of next semester rather than this semester, just because we don't want people to be too exhausted, especially going into finals week and Thanksgiving break and things like that. And we really want them to just focus on a little bit more of the positive things that are going on, and focus our activism on the very beginning of the spring semester. I don't even know what semester it is anymore. But I have also sent an email out to Frederic, who used to be the student government vice president, I think 2 years ago now. And she is currently Representative Collins of the 9th District's Chief of Staff, and she's also a Chicago Votes Fellow. She is one of the speakers that I had at our event on the early election day, and she talked about how to communicate with the communities that UIC is surrounding and make sure that we aren't actively contributing. Well, we are actively contributing to the gentrification of those neighborhoods, but we want to see what we can do to kind of work against that and see what we can push the administration of UIC to do to kind of slow that down, if not stop it. So those are all things that are kind of happening. Hopefully we are able to conduct that meeting this Friday. If not, that is something that we'll look into, because I didn't want to have any future meetings potentially over winter break, and if anything in the beginning of next semester. But that'll just be based off of how our committee feels about it and if they would want to have something over winter break or not. But yeah, that's pretty much my personal report in regards to our committee. We met last Friday. Because of campus closing down its spaces, there is a restructuring that's needed or discussed on Misty's event planned with ROTC. Matthew is working on survey questions, and if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be a discussion piece. And Michael has received responses from the professors that he reached out to in regards to last week's discussion on calendar function for Blackboard specifically, and we're just talking about next steps for that initiative now. And then once again, there will be no committee meetings past Thanksgiving break. So our last committee meeting is planned for this Friday. I yield for questions.
Yeah, this isn't a question, just like a point of information. I think it's really interesting that you mentioned like the gentrification that UIC kind of continues to perpetuate, and it's something that we mentioned to the chancellor at our town hall a couple of weeks ago on like public safety and alternatives to policing. So I definitely think it's like a super important cause to take up.
Yeah, if you do want to set up something where we both discuss what was discussed in that town hall and maybe work towards an initiative, then that's something I'm interested in. So just kind of hit me up.
Are there any other questions? If not, the report of the chairwoman of the Legislative Affairs Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Relations Committee Chair.
Hi, everyone. I am filling in for Atana. So it's a very short and sweet report. So Atana has been working on fixing numerical orders for the YouTube videos. And she's also been working on some flyers for certain events that are coming up really soon. She's also drafting a survey with one of our PRC members for students and what they want to see from USG. Hopefully it'll be done soon by this week. And for the fourth item, the USG merge form, the link, it is delayed at this time because Aitana has to include one more design. So hopefully by next week, she will have the link updated. And that is all for the report.
Okay, thank you so much. So if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to email Aitana or reach out to her directly over messages. So with that, the report of the chairwoman of the Public Relations Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Student Affairs Committee Chair.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I wasn't able to get a report in this week, but I'll be sending a detailed report to Daniela so she could put it in the meeting minutes. But yeah, so for this week, I have my weekly meeting with my committee. We just had updates on initiatives. Right now, the main focus is kind of collaborating with the Community Resource Center and marketing for upcoming events. Aitana should have received an email from Tega regarding some marketing asks as well as materials for the upcoming weeks. I also met with Rep. Barbara Hernandez of the 83rd District. That's kind of like Aurora, Peoria type area, if you guys didn't know. We basically had a conversation on the bills that she's currently working on and co-sponsoring. So two really stood out. The first is a Metro discount bill. I don't know if you all know, but currently Metro offers a half off rate to high school students. And so she is working to try to expand that to college students as well. So basically, I just kind of give her some advice on the wording and the requirements necessary. That bill is kind of currently on hold just because of COVID, and Metro has lost millions of dollars. And so they're less reluctant to actually give out discounts, but we're still actively working towards having that become an actuality. And then another thing that she is working on is an expansion of SNAP, EBT, and WIC services. If you guys don't know, that is when people are granted government funds to spend on food and groceries. And basically, she's trying to have those services be expanded to purchase feminine hygiene products as well. So we were just talking about the wording for that bill as well. And I told her that we should change it from feminine hygiene products to menstrual hygiene products so that it is inclusive of all people and not just, I'm sorry, my roommate's cat is, yeah. But to expand it to not just cisgendered straight women that have periods. I'm also working with the Young Invincibles to host a policy summit, which is basically where it's hearing from young student leaders on policy concerns and ask in their communities. And so basically it's gonna be students, and we're gonna invite some legislators as well, just to have a roundtable discussion. And that's gonna be on December 11th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. I will be sending out an invitation to everyone, as well as include like any information about it in a future report once I receive the information myself, but I'll send it all to you as soon as I can. And that's all I have currently. And yeah, I hope everyone is having a great week. I know finals is coming up, so just remember to study hard and to focus on your mental health. Don't let that deteriorate. And yeah, I will yield for questions.
Are there any questions? I have a quick comment about the Metro initiative. That is very tough to do because Metro is not, like, they really do not want to work with us on that. They do not want to lower the prices. So props to you guys for working on that and trying to get them to change their mind. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Student Affairs Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Campus Life Committee Chair.
Hi everyone. I hope you had a good week. So last week I met with the Mental Health Coalition, and we kind of just discussed and drafted focus group questions for the future. So that went well, and I have a meeting scheduled with one of the members this week to discuss or brainstorm ideas for the website still. And for this week, we have a Thanksgiving event planned. It's USG Friendsgiving. It's this Sunday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. over Zoom. And the idea behind this event was that there are a lot of students who can't go home over the holidays. So like if you're like stuck on campus, we can provide an event for students to like meet each other and like not feel so lonely. But because we didn't want to exclude people who were at home or were able to go home, we decided to hold it on Sunday instead of during the actual break. So even though it's targeted at students who can't go home, it's open to everyone. And I've made an RSVP form and a poster, and I'll be sending those to Aitana to be shared and hopefully put on the USG website. And we have a lot of fun activities planned, so I'd love to see you guys there. And for the care packages, we tried to set up a meeting with someone to discuss the COVID supplies, but it's been a while and they haven't really, like, we haven't gotten a concrete answer from them. So I think we're going to have to push it back to next semester. I'm really bummed about it, but I'd rather do it well instead of like rush something and then not give students anything good. In terms of committee initiatives, we talked about peer mentoring. And one of the reasons that they're not really pursuing it this year is because there's not enough peer mentors and students on campus. So for next semester, we're probably going to look into the possibility of virtual peer mentors, which would be a lot easier because like everything's over Zoom. So if they were to have office hours or like tutoring sessions, they don't have to go anywhere. They can just be at home and provide that same service. And one last thing, sorry, it's not on the report. Sorry, Daniela, but I'm still working on the UIC honor code. I've been reading through the College of Pharmacy's honor code to like serve as an example. And once I have a more concrete draft of that, I'll set up a meeting with the advisors to kind of go over like what should be changed and what should be included. That's it for my report. I yield for questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Campus Life Committee will be filed. The next order of business is old business, and there is currently no old business. The next order of business is new business, and first we have Resolution 2020-F10-905. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is my resolution that I mentioned during my report about the additional reimbursements for the money that I got charged after we passed last week's resolution. So let me read it. USG social additional reimbursements. Chief sponsor, Speaker of the House, Daisy Stancheva, whereas USG social packages were sent through the mail to members, and whereas the Speaker and interim Speaker estimated the weight, and whereas the USPS ended up adjusting the weight and increasing the price of the packages by a total of $57.75, then let it be resolved that the Speaker, Daisy Stancheva, shall be reimbursed $57.75 for the additional shipping costs charged by the USPS. And then if you scroll down, you guys will see the receipts. I don't know why they did it in different segments. So there are 4 different receipts, but they all do come up to a total of $57.75. So yeah, are there any comments or questions regarding this resolution or any amendments? Okay. So normally that would be voted on next week. However, I did ask Wasan to make it an executive order. So if you guys have anything that you would like to change or any comments or anything, please make sure you say them now before we vote on it. Okay. So it doesn't seem like there are any comments or questions.
Yeah, so I guess I'd like to move to use an executive order to vote on this today.
Okay, thank you. The president has motioned to make this an executive order. So we will be voting on this today. So all those in favor of resolution 2020-F10-905, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, the resolution has passed. Thank you so much. Thank you for not having me pay the $60. Thank you. Okay, so the next order of business is items for discussion. And first, we have the meeting with the chancellor. So, Wasan, would you like to talk more about this?
Yeah, I just wanted to again just ask if there were any questions that anybody had that they wanted to have addressed in this like more kind of small group space. Specifically, anything you might want to ask regarding COVID or next semester, or things you might want to know about like residential life or online learning or some of the policies that they might be implementing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. We were supposed to raise our hand. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good.
Okay. So I know that we're about to go on a lockdown supposedly, and I want to know how is that going to go for like classes that have to be taken in person, like some of the classes are required, like a lab or something like that. How is that going to go for next semester? Do you know?
Yeah, I'll add that to the list of questions for the next Monday.
Thank you.
To kind of answer that, all the labs that are technically in person, if for any reason you don't feel comfortable coming in or whatever, you can technically take those not in person. So I would assume that if we go back into like a very serious lockdown and like they just are like, we can only do online courses, it'll just all move online. That's really the only thing about it.
Thank you.
Wait, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not in Chicago, so I'm not too sure what is going on with the lockdown situation. Can somebody maybe explain it a little more?
Yeah, essentially there's like an advisory that's been put out by the mayor to tell people, like especially like during the Thanksgiving time, to stay indoors and to not really go outside unless you're going for something essential like groceries or food or something like that, or work if you have to go to work, and not to have people come to your home for Thanksgiving specifically.
Yeah, and there's like a curfew, supposedly.
Right.
Me, did you have a comment?
I want to ask, like, so does like UIC have any like plan for sure that they're not gonna like kick all the on-campus student out of like housing like last spring again? Like, do they have any plan for that at all?
I just want to clarify this lockdown is actually a lot less strict than the initial lockdown that Lightfoot ordered. So we'll still be able to go to in-person classes. Like, I'm sure they're not going to close down campus this time. Like tons of stuff is still open. So it's like,
I don't think the lockdown has started though. I think that's why things are still open.
the first day was the 16th.
Wow.
So, oh yeah, so this morning. But yeah, I looked at the guidelines that she put out, and because she didn't actually want to close down the restaurants and stuff, so she's compromising. And so when you actually look at what's happening, it's pretty much the same thing. She's just asking people now. So nobody
wow.
really, so.
Thank you for clarifying. But are there any other comments or questions on the meeting with the chancellor item for discussion?
Yeah, is there any way that UIC could decrease the tuition? Because I was just on Facebook and I saw many of my peers or like freshmen are like, they're not gonna like attend UIC again next year because it's just too expensive. They're just gonna go to like a community college and finish their gen eds there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm doing the same thing.
They are probably not going to lower the tuition, but they might lower the what is it called, fees and other things. The fees, I think, mainly, but they will not lower the tuition. I don't think.
Yeah, in the student fee like committee meeting I was in, the budget office did like a presentation, and tuition for both like online and in-person classes was one of the things that they were like, we're not changing. And then I think the student like fee also goes up by like $4, but there might be some other things that get taken away. I don't know.
I also have just a question. Maybe you guys can bring this up to, I don't know, somebody in the LAS college. So the reason I'm going to a different school is because I came in as a freshman, and applying from high school, I didn't realize that there was such a low acceptance rate for the nursing program. And I feel like for UIC to have as many students as they do, there should not be only 96 spots in the nursing program. So I would definitely say, like, if there can be a way maybe for other students possibly in the future that number can increase by maybe just a little bit. I just feel like 96 is way too low, being that there's like 3 times the amount that apply to the nursing program. And so yeah, I just feel like that should be something that should be brought up maybe about hiring that amount of people that get accepted in.
Yeah, on that topic, I also saw a comment on Facebook with somebody in who is a psychology major, and they were complaining that there are barely any psychology classes, and they all of them have like a very low number of spots available. So that's kind of like the same area of concern.
At least if we're gonna be paying like for this much, that much for tuition, like, can we at least have like, you know what I mean, available spots to do what we came here to do? Like, it's very upsetting.
I have another thing to add on to that. Like I said, when I first like came into the USG, I said I wanted to like advocate on transfer students. And I think a big thing with registration is the departmental approval. Like every time we want, like for me especially, every time I wanted to register for something, I needed departmental approval. I'm a CLJ minor, and I couldn't even like register for CLJ classes, like just the beginning CLJ 101, from how much like the departmental approval like really like disabled me from it. So like I think they really need to fix that too. Like the advisors just need to be good on that, and they need to be better on like the whole registration process.
Me?
To add on that, I mean, like I am a CBA student, so college of business, and but I do like minor in LAS, and then like the advisor in my minor department, like they really slow on like answering any of my question and stuff, and they always tell me to talk to my like general advisor, but then my general advisor is like told me to talk to my department LAS advisor. So like it has been like a struggle for me to like you know who am I supposed to connect to for all my class, and like I don't have enough class right now because I'm waiting to see like if I should take minor credit right now or should I just take all my class for business right now. So it's been like a hot mess even though I'm supposed to be registered for class like last week already. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you. And just to also to reiterate, like all of you guys that contacted your advisor for the academic eligibility form and they didn't reply. That's kind of the same thing. So yeah, I do agree the advisors should be a little bit better, especially since we rely on them so heavily. Megan?
Not to play the devil's advocate in this situation, but I also think it's something where if the advisors are too overwhelmed with what's going on, it might also be something to consider, like what resources we have, I guess, in terms of like setting up kids to go to like for either advisors or for kids to go to like advisors that like might be able to like, I guess, like put off like more general work where it's like it's not a specific advisor that needs to approve it, but like it's just generally the department needs to approve it, kind of systems in place for that to happen, so that it might not just be you're stonewalled by one advisor, but it could just be the department does it forward for you. But I don't know what's going on in that area, so that just might be something that needs to be ironed out.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so if there are no more comments or questions on this item for discussion, we can move on to the next item for discussion, which is the UIC Virtual Services Survey. So Matthew, would you like to talk more about this?
Yes. So this survey this relates to my initiative, which is centralizing communication and sources now into one platform. And so just like an update on that. So I'm shifting it to be a little bit more I'd say ambitious, more ambitious now, like to merge social media with school. Um so I'm gonna put in the chat the survey. And what the survey is basically is asking students how often they use certain UIC services such as like UIC connection and even the portal, and like also their satisfaction with these services. So I put this under items of discussion because I would like to know if there's other services that I should maybe include under the UIC app info, because I'm not really so familiar with all the UIC services. So if there's something I should be adding to the survey, please let me know. Or like if you have any adjustments maybe to the survey, because I also think it's just in general this would be useful to the administration at UIC to see how well students think of their the services available.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or suggestions?
I have a question for Matthew. For this survey, is there like a specific deadline that it needs to be completed by, or can we just submit it whenever?
Well, the survey is not created yet. It's just like an outline. It'll be I'm gonna be sending it to Dalio, and then she'll be creating the survey. And whenever that's out, it'll be sent out. And I'm not quite sure what the deadline will be. Probably before the end of the semester. But it's just right now the draft of the survey.
Any other questions or comments?
I just really quickly wanted to say, Matthew, you're doing awesome work, and I hope you keep pushing with it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, it doesn't seem like there's anything else on this item for discussion. So we can move on to the next item for discussion, which is the end of the year party. So I mentioned in my report, and let me go back to it here in just a second. So I mentioned that I ordered a cookie jar from a small business on Etsy to check it out. And just as a reminder, the pros were there's cool jar options with a lot of different cookie options and bread options. You can customize the ingredients and tell them not to put a certain thing in there, like if you're allergic. It is handmade. It has priority shipping, and there is free shipping on orders over $35. And it also supports small businesses. But the cons were that it's $9 per jar, including shipping. Like individual ship, or if it's a bulk, there will be free shipping. But if it's individual jars being shipped to members, that will cost $8. And as I mentioned, I did order it last Monday, and it still has not arrived when the shipping is priority. I think they actually took a while to make it. I think they took about a week to make it, and I think it's shipping right now. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think the pros outweigh the cons? Do you think we should go for that small business, or do you think we should find something else? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Do you have a picture?
Yes. Could you please let me share my screen? Okay, give me 1 second. I'll pull it up right now. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Let's see. So there are different types of cookie jars. So, like for example, this is a cranberry winter cookie jar. Um, this is a Santa's cookies in a jar, and like you can see all the ingredients in here, the M&Ms and other stuff. And like let's say you don't like M&Ms, you can say like you can personalize it over here, and you can say I don't want M&Ms, and you know they're gonna take care of that. There's also a toffee blondie bars. Um, Pumpkin cranberry bread, as well as chocolate chip banana bread. So they have different options. I thought they looked very cute. They have directions on the back, so they shouldn't be too hard to make. Um, and for the jar size, we would pick the smaller one for $9.95, and then you could just pick whichever one you would like for these. Or I mean, obviously, you guys would not be ordering this. We would take care of that. We would take care of any personalization requests that you have and so on. Um, and yeah, so if they do say that processing time is between 1 to 2 weeks. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any other questions or comments or requests on this?
So I want to comment on it. I think it's a really cute idea. And especially since you ordered it last week, so I think you should be getting it soon. I just hope that you do get it soon. But I think that if everyone does agree to this, I think we should like order it quickly, like not waste more time, because if we or were to order it, I guess like next week, like it may or may not be that we would get it around like the time of finals, and I feel like that might not be a good time, but I mean that's just my opinion. But yeah, I really love the idea.
Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. So I was actually thinking for our end of the year party, I thought it might be better if we push it until after finals, just so like all of us can relax and because we're not on campus. So like in past years, we would have to meet up around campus to go get food. But right now we're not on campus, so I think it would be possible to push it back until after finals. But what do you guys think about that?
One more question. It said it was $8 to ship it. So is that for each one? It would be like eight more, like so. It's essentially like $17.95, if that's correct.
So I can answer that. So they do have. Let me double check. I do believe that they have free shipping on orders above $35. So that means that if we order in bulk and we have it delivered to the DOS office, we could potentially like have it delivered to everybody in Chicago, or we could have it delivered to people in the suburbs. And we were thinking that if there is like people who are way too far away for us to like ship to or to like deliver to them, it would be better maybe to opt in for that delivery, so that it could get shipped directly to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
That makes me feel better, because I was like, if it's $18 per person, it's probably not worth it. But if it's only $9, like it says, then it's probably still worth it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I was considering the shipping individually to everybody option, but then I was like, no, that's gonna be way too much, and it's gonna cost way too much. Like that's unnecessarily expensive in my opinion. So we thought it might be better to just get it delivered to the DOS office. Um, ooh. Okay, well, it looks like we cannot get it delivered to the DOS office. Um, so in that case, we could do a few other things. We could either buy it ourselves and get it reimbursed next year, which I personally don't know how I feel about it because I don't have like $400 lying around. Um, we could do that though. Or the other thing is, let's see, we could have the DOS maybe like order it, but order it to like somebody else's house. Um, Dean Parker?
Yes, the only comment I was going to make is that the Dean of Students office is currently closed right now, so there's no staff member in that office due to the increase of coronavirus cases. So we all are back home virtually. So that's the only comment I wanted to make. So,
okay. Do you guys do? Sorry to interrupt. Do you guys do you still do the like the DOS office work? Like I know you're not in the office, but do you still like do work on stuff?
Yeah, we still work. We're working virtually for sure. We just in the office. Like in the past, we had one full-time staff member in the office, but since the changes in COVID cases has increased, we're no longer in the office at all. So the office is closed.
Okay. So, okay. So if we were to have something ordered by the DOS and shipped to, like, say, my house or somebody else's house, and like have it deliver it ourselves to the members, would that be something that we could do?
Yeah, that sounds feasible. We can do it. Let's look more into it, but it sounds feasible.
I can step in. I don't think Linda's going to approve us to have something shipped to a student's house. I know this creates difficulties for everybody, but if USG is purchasing something, it has to be received by a university office before distributed, and COVID is presenting us with some significant challenges right now. It's not just the DOS office that's closed. It's all offices on campus are closed as of this morning. There are a few people who are still on campus, but for the most part, any of our static offices are closed and everybody's working remotely right now. So we're gonna have to think of some other creative ways to make this happen.
Yes, I agree. Thanks, Keith.
I mean, I can like probably make 20 of these in an afternoon. Like they're not that complicated. Like I mean, if that works for like I can make them. I'll just buy mason jars and stuff to make cookies, and I can do that. Like yeah.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty good. You might have to get reimbursed for that. So like, I can definitely work with you on that, or you could work with Anshu. But if you want, we can definitely do that. And does that sound good for everybody else then?
Yeah, I was just actually about to present the idea. I think once you get that jar from the small business, whenever it comes, we can like model it after that.
That's a good idea. I can definitely do that. I can definitely share with you guys. But Quinn, would you like want to work alone, or would you like to work with somebody else?
I mean, like if someone else wants to take over making half of them, they can. But like, other than that.
Yeah, I can assist you in that.
Sure.
And wait, do you live in Chicago?
Yeah, I would probably feel uncomfortable meeting up with someone.
Oh yeah, I know.
But if someone had a kitchen or something to that they could do it themselves, then I'd be okay with that, obviously.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But then if you want, whenever you're finished, I could come pick some up and deliver them to people in the suburbs, and then maybe we could have somebody else deliver to people in Chicago. And then if somebody is way too far away, we can maybe ship it, and you can also get reimbursed for that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So how about this then? I am going to. Well, actually, we do have, like Matthew and I, we have people's addresses, and we also have people's allergies, so we can definitely look at that. But other than that, I think would be good to go. But does anybody else have any other thoughts on this? Okay. Matthew and Quinn, can you guys please stay after the meeting so we can talk more about this? Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
sure.
Thank you. All right. So, if there is no other comments on this item for discussion, I know that Dahlia had something else to mention as well.
Yeah. So I may be getting like a text that says that I have to go pick something up from the door. So if I do like have to run out, I'm really sorry. But I did also want to preface by saying trigger warning sexual assault. If you are uncomfortable with hearing about it or talking about it, I do just ask you like to mute your whole computer. I've turned my camera on and I'll like give a thumbs up when I'm done talking about sexual assault, just so that anyone who feels uncomfortable can step away from their computer and just kind of keep a lookout. And when I give the thumbs up, you guys are welcome to head back. So it's come to my attention that recently there was a frat member that is guilty of rape on campus. And this wasn't after one allegation or two allegations, but it took a group of women to step forward to talk about this specific person. And they just never really did anything until more and more people showed up. And I think that brings up the bigger issue of there are multiple cases of sexual assault per year on our campus that go unheard, go undiscussed, go unspoken of. A lot of students are told go to the Title IX office. And when they do that, they don't get a response, they don't get their cases resolved. And even when they do get their cases like even responded to, it's years after. It's post-graduation. It's I've finally started healing and like didn't get the response that I needed to back then, back when I was truly hurt, back when I needed to be listened to by the university. So I guess what I want to say is while we do host events and while we are trying to be active as students on our campus to stop these things from happening, I don't think as a student government that we're doing enough. So I just kind of wanted to ask you guys what you guys thought and what we can do. I am going to be stepping away, but I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Thank you, Dahlia. So does anybody have any comments on how USG can maybe do better in terms of like this topic?
Yeah, what if we what if USG like offer like victims to like come to USG, maybe if they're comfortable enough, and then maybe we can like maybe the student affairs committee can like listen to that and then bring it to the attention of whoever needs to hear this to bring charges.
Me?
Well, I just want to say, like, for this matter, usually a lot of the girls, like, feel more comfortable, like, talking to other girls than, like, talking to boys, you know, for example. So I know there's, like, sexual assault thing for, like, boys too, but, like, it's specifically told, like, more girls, like, on campus for sure. So I think that we should, like, have, like, a designated kind of, like, person, maybe, like, two, something like that, that, like, reach out to people who, like, or actually listen to people, and it's everyone more like comfortable talking to that about that matters.
Thank you. Michelle?
I think it wouldn't be enough just for us to like hear their stories and to like report it, because while that's like good, in the end they have reported their stories to like administration, and if they're not getting the justice that they deserve, that's like an institutional problem. That's not really anything that we can do just by like obviously acknowledging them and like having them feel seen is important, but it has to be at like a larger level, I think.
Sarah?
So I actually looked into UIC's Title IX and compared it to UIUC's Title IX. And just like looking at those two, like the biggest thing that I noticed was that the rights for UIC victims like are not put in our Title IX, and like they're given rights to when reporting, but they're not given or told their rights regardless, like with anything else. And also like UIC like basically put all of like the rules for Title IX and what you can do and how so people can help in like a huge just like PDF document. It's like 24 pages. And like just if someone was to go through sexual assault on campus, like looking through that huge document to figure out what you need to do is not efficient whatsoever. So like I don't know if this is in our hands or like what, but like I feel like we should make like a resolution to like fix our website, which I know like it's not gonna help like reduce sexual harassment on campus, but it can help victims, I feel like, a lot more like navigate and like see what they can do a lot easier than reading this huge PDF that's just like linked onto the website. Like I don't think that's the most efficient way to do things.
Jocelyn?
Cool. Hi everyone. I hope you're doing good. I know I don't really say things in these meetings unless I really have to. So this topic actually really does hit home for me specifically. Victim of sexual assault and racism at the campus of UIC. And when I tried to file like not a complaint, but like a Title IX file, that was the longest process I'd ever have to do. And I don't ever want to go through it again. The same thing with my racism case. UIC makes everything so tedious on students. So at the end of the thing that when it comes, the students don't want to go through the process. That's the tactic that higher universities do. They make the process so tedious that it stresses out the student even more. So they just don't have to file the complaint. That's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what's happened to me for the past 3 years at UIC. It happened to me my freshman and sophomore and my junior year. So this is definitely a tactic that a lot of higher institutions are doing. And I understand at the factor that, yeah, we are an organization that really can't do a lot, but we are an organization that can emphasize awareness. And that's something that we need to reach out to students. Even if it's sending a mass email, even if it's sending like or posting on our social media, like it's these factors that we need to remind students that they're not on their own. Because when I was going through it, it was in September of this year, and I did not see not one post on USG. I did not see not one post besides the Women's Leadership Center as well as like CAN. That's it. And not everyone has those resources, so at least constantly posting about it or like having like meetings, like not even meetings, but like trainings that can guide victims through this process, and obviously holding the university accountable for the lack of interest and the lack of accessibility to students. Because when I went through it, I had to go through it with some other girl that did not even know the language. And, like I was there to translate it for her. And not even that, like you don't really heal from these things. You just don't. And like as a victim and as like the advisors are here, they were there in that room too. And we need to hold UIC accountable for their lack of interest and their lack of accessibility to students and students of color, because it's messed up. We can sit here and we can talk about, we can do this, we can do that. But the first thing that we need to do is hold the university accountable for their lack of action. And that's step one. And then we obviously can do our part by, contacting organizations, by contacting like obviously the resources that we have on campus, and also by holding sorority and fraternity life accountable for what they're doing and for what they have continued to done for years, and for people that have been covering for them that are upon this administration. We need to call them out. And as an organization that has the power to do so, I have done my part and I have been shut down by UIC. So as an organization, we need to hold other organizations accountable for this action happening within the orgs. And if that means doing trainings, if that means holding classes on racism and sexual assault, because I am not going to do that sexual assault test that UIC makes us do every semester, every year. If I'm the one experiencing every year, like it's not fair. That's not going to do anything. I'm going to be very honest. It hasn't done anything. I've done it for the past 3 years and it has not done anything. So we need to be real with this administration. As much as we can talk about it now, we need to be real with ourselves too. Like I know we're in a pandemic and things like that, but sometimes like an email goes a long way. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Quentin?
Yeah, I think that was excellently put, Jocelyn. But I think I think something that's really important that a lot of people don't talk about is it's not just making it easier for survivors to get help. It's also important to, like Jocelyn was saying, hold perpetrators accountable. So there really needs to be, like, if there is the system to file a claim that something happened should be much easier. And then if someone files a claim against anyone, there should be a full investigation into exactly what happened, everything going on. There should never be like, oh, sorry, we'll deal with this later, like until someone else comes along to do the same thing and then it piles on. It should be one time investigation. If nothing's found, then nothing's found, but it needs to happen immediately, because this kind of stuff gets, the further along that you let it sit, the harder and harder it gets to prove that anything happened in the first place. And that's it's again a tactic that lots of schools, businesses, etc., use to just kind of bury it down, is until like 6 people end up coming forward, and then it's finally a big deal. But accountability for the school and individuals responsible for any acts like this it's very important to hold everyone accountable.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yes, so I know there's like a coordinator. So what if we like invited this person to like a meeting, to one of our meetings, and like get insight like the process behind like in their office and such. So then we can actually have like a live discussion and ask like, why does it take so long? Why does it take like months for things to be to get done?
Yeah, most definitely. We could definitely bring in the Title IX coordinator to ask her specific questions about this. Also to just like answer that, and yeah, thank you so much for sharing as well, Jocelyn. To answer a little bit about what Sarah had mentioned about making like the Title IX process a little bit easier to understand for survivors. That's something that we have been working on for like a decent amount of time now, and Aitana has already drafted out some graphics and some other sorts of forms of media that are like really easy to access for people that aren't like a 24-page document that is like impossible to sift through. We did host the Title IX Know Your Rights training. That's the event that was last week with Aaron O'Callahan, the WLRC and CAN, and FSL as well. We did invite all of FSL leadership, as well as like all of like the different members of the Greek orgs. We didn't get anyone to really attend. So we definitely could be doing more in that front. And like you mentioned, like a mass mail, which we unfortunately don't actually have access to yet. And so hopefully Chairwoman Aldawi can help me out with that a little bit, and figuring out how we might be able to move forward on that front. One other point that I do want to mention is, as a result of the meeting that we had last week, specifically with this Know Your Rights training on Title IX, we also talked about like working with the GEO and working with Aaron O'Callahan to really organize to move forward on reducing the length and the process with which this Title IX investigation and the whole like, kind of 60 days that it should be limited to, and trying to ensure that we kind of stick closer to that shorter time frame than what kind of usually transpires. That's something that we definitely want to work towards, and I know that it's a very difficult ask from just the conversations that I've had previously, like with the Title IX office and like trying to work on the Title IX project overall. So that's definitely something that we're looking to continue to work on, and I'm always like happy to have more people join us in this effort.
I just kind of wanted to respond to that, but also move forward from that in saying strength in numbers should not mean the more survivors that come forward means that there is more percentage or probability of this person being acquitted. Strength in numbers should be there is one survivor, and people who are able to help them are helping them. And from what you said, wasn't about nobody showing up, to nobody from FSL showing up to the Know Your Rights campaign. While these events are really important for us to have and really important to spark conversation on campus via students, I'm not seeing any administrators going to those events that we host. I'm not seeing administrators actively saying, oh, I am actively taking part in the sexual assault cases that go on campus. When I have discussed this with some administrators, it's always a referral to Title IX. It's never we're acting as our as let's say Dean of Students or as whatever other faculty organization on campus. Their offices are never, we are actively doing this. It is always, we are working with Title IX. And as we have seen from this conversation, Title IX isn't doing anything for the students of color on campus. Title IX isn't doing a lot for students on campus, point blank, period. So I really wanted to bring this up to say, what legislation can we enact to push this forward? What legislation are we actively writing? Are we pushing forward? What administrators are we talking to? I know that from previous experience with the head of the counseling center, there was a refusal to understand that students of color are not adequately represented on campus. And so in talking to the Title IX representatives about doing things better, I know that we're not going to get that same, like we're going to get that exact same response. We're going to get that exact same pushback of, oh, well, we're doing this and this and this, and it's not technically the body's fault, so we're not at fault. I don't care who's at fault at this point. I know exactly who it is on my standpoint. And like, if you don't want to admit that to my face, that's fine, but you need to actually change the way that you are talking to students about their own issues, about their own traumas. So I just want us to make sure that we're holding, Daisy's talking about making a task force, and if people do on this board want to get on something, I'm ready to do that. So if that's something we want to do, just let me know and I can start that. If you want that to happen, I would just like DM me and I can put us all in a group chat, something like that, really get it rolling. But my main concern right now is not pushing more events or shortening a document. My main concern is writing legislation to push the administrators, push FSL specifically to hold their members, hold their students accountable for the actions and violence that has been enacted on other students.
Thank you. Quinn?
Yeah, thank you again. But UIC does have a College of Social Work that I think would love to get involved with something like this. So if we wanted to contact them, I'm sure they would be very interested to help us create legislation to talk to administration and everything like that. I'm positive that they would be ecstatic to work with us on something like this.
Would you have anybody specifically in mind that you would want us to reach out to? Would it just be like the dean of?
Yeah, my sister is on the student government board of Jane Addams College of Social Work. So like I could talk to her and see if she can, if she knows any of the administrators that would be interested in helping us get through this. But I know for a fact that she specifically would love to help us with something like this.
Okay, sure. If you want to talk to her, if you want me to send an email, whatever you're more comfortable with, just let me know.
Sure, great.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I volunteer with Pillars Domestic Health and Sexual Violence. It's like this. It's like they're two programs. They're for DV and SV, and they're always holding out events for these types of things, like just knowing your rights. And a lot of times people like they've been moving them virtually, but they always host events and they're always asking us to do like fundraisers and stuff like that. I think it would be really cool, like if we like reached out to them, maybe like did an event with them. I know they'd be like really happy to, and they are like certified in this type of stuff. They literally work. They literally work for this type of cause. So I think it would be really cool if we like brought in like professionals, maybe did an event with them. Oh, that's all I have to say.
Me?
So what I want to ask is, do we have like a specific person like or case that like we know of that we can like present to the administration like, hey, this is what happening and this is what's going on, and like they don't get any help yet. So do we have any like specific like that yet? Or can we like ask specific for the case or anything like that?
Personally, I don't want to put anybody's direct. I don't want to throw anybody. Yeah. I agree with Michelle. I don't want to violate anybody's privacy. I don't want to push one case to be the spearhead of all of the cases that have been going on. I don't want somebody to be put at the forefront of that when they are a survivor and they did go through that and they did have to experience the pain that was gone through the entire time. So personally, I'm against that.
I think this is also maybe one of those things, if our focus is kind of like holding people accountable, this is one of those things that definitely we could work with Bonfire to kind of have them develop their own take on it and kind of do a little bit of like that expose type publishing.
Yeah, one of the other things that we have pushed for, specifically in line with the demands of Black students at UIC, was for the hiring of like a transformative justice coordinator at the Campus Advocacy Network, somebody who would really again be there to like not stay in any sort of like judicial capacity, but somebody who's there to act in these like sort of like transformative justice ways of like conflict resolution and harm reduction.
Thank you. Does anybody have any other thoughts or comments? Questions? Anything?
I would just say I'm taking people to be active on the task force. If that's okay with everybody, I do want everybody to be able to focus on finals and exams because that's an entire stressor on its own. I'll kind of I'll try and maintain contact with Quinn and see what that response is. And we can move from there, but I still will be taking, for people that do want to be part of the task force, text me just whatever form of social media. I don't respond the fastest on GroupMe, but like I'll get it at some point. So just, yeah, if you do want to be on that board or task force, just let me know. It'll just be something that I'm trying to figure out a kind of framework for and then really start acting on winter break, spring semester. So yeah.
I think like Erin O'Callaghan would also be really helpful. She's from the GEO and she like researches this exact same topic, and she's a graduate student.
If you want to put her info in chat, that'd be great.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I have something to say. One more thing, excuse me. I know this is a very tough conversation to have. I know specifically for some of us that did experience these things. And I know some of you are experiencing your own things on your own. But this is just a reminder. And like I said, I know I don't really say a lot of things when it comes to these meetings. But if you want someone to talk to, like, you can always just message me. You can always message someone in this organization, because these situations hit home so hard, and it affects like your daily life, you know. It's not just about what UIC can do, but it's about like the congregation that we have built to help each other, to build community, to build love. And that's the purpose, not only of like being part of an organization, but being something big. And like UIC being one of the most diverse campus in the US or in the state of Illinois, they do lack initiative. And I will always say that. They lack support for their students, and they lack a lot of things that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge, because it's one of the biggest research institutions and one of the institutions that is the most diverse, but it's also one of the most corrupt institutions that I have been a part of. And it has messed me up since I've attended. Whatever you are going through, I want to say that I am here for you, and that I love you, and that I can see you, and that I hear you. So if you ever need anything, shoot me a message, you know, like, because I'm here for every single one of you, even if you don't know me, even if like you've never talked to me, or I barely turn on my camera, but that's how I look at my picture. I want to make sure that you all feel safe, even if, you know, like you're on this call or you don't. Because a lot of resources don't actually reach out or do anything. But I want to like make sure that you all know that there's resources out here, and there's outside resources that I can also provide. So yeah, everyone stay strong. You know, this is just the beginning of something bigger.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Okay. Are there any comments before we move on to other items for discussion? Okay. So if not, then does anybody else have any items for discussion? Okay, so if not, we can move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Okay, if not, the next order of business is adjournment. Would anyone like to motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, there has been motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
A second.
So it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That opposed, please say nay. Does anybody abstain? Okay. The ayes have it, and this meeting is now adjourned at 7:48 p.m. Is there an e-board meeting today?
Yeah, if like everyone still has like a little bit of time, like just like have Kevin stick around.